Hey you guys, welcome back. I've had a bunch of you asking about my orchid collection that I'm now getting into. I don't know whether you remember the last video I had where I showed you all of my orchids, but I think I might have had 7, maybe 10. And as you can see, I've gone a little overboard, it seems. I have collected a lot. Most of them were on sale. So I just wanted to give you a little, well, a brief look at everything that I have. I will have other update videos. I have done some update videos prior to this one, so there will be some more. I don't want to spend 30 minutes looking at all of these. It'll bore you because you might want to see something specific rather than just waiting for each one to come through, but we'll briefly touch on most of them. So anyway, how many do I have here? Somebody asked how many I have now, and I have no idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 28. Maybe more. I don't know if I forgot something around the house. I don't know. But I do have the Vanda this time. The last time I forgot the Vanda. Do you remember him? This one is doing wonderfully. The leaves are getting to be about, I don't know, I would say that's about 7 inches long. They're growing wonderfully. And the roots, I don't know whether you can see it there, I've got the terracotta balls in there, so I can't tip the pot up very well. But the roots are filling the bottom of the pot. You could see them all peeking through. The roots the aerial roots aren't really growing as well, but the ones under the media are growing like weeds. I was very excited to see that. What else do I have to show? I showed this in another video earlier to this, is the butterfly orchid, the Psychopsis, is in bloom. It's looking wonderful. I'm going to have to water it very, very soon. The moss that it's in is getting pretty dry. Another thing that I noticed on my Oncidium, I was doing experiments. I was planting things in the hydrogen beads, the terracotta balls, and this Oncidium really doesn't respond well. So we'll do a video on this one. We'll repot it. The roots are not looking very well. I might have left it in a bucket of water for a week, maybe. So it's not looking the greatest. It's got a nice pseudo-bulb on this side, so it will come back, but it never really anchored itself into the hydrogen balls. So we're going to take it out and put it in. What are we going to put it in? We're going to put it in some moss and some cocoa bark chips, or cocoa husk, the chunks. I think it'll respond a little bit better. It never really anchored itself, and it was always loose, and it never seemed to grab hold. So it'll like that better. Another one that's in bloom is this cute little Phalaenopsis. A bunch of you liked it. This was another one of those $5 finds for me. I'm not a big fan of the flower. Let me get up here a little closer. Not a really big fan of the flower. Can you see that? It's pretty. I love the color. But the petals just don't seem to... None of the flowers seem to be perfect. They've all got their own little wonkiness to them. See, this one, some of the petals are smaller. This one's actually missing a petal on this side. It's just, I don't know. It's a pretty color, but it's just... Maybe that's why it was discounted. It has problems. Another one that I've recently acquired is the Jewel Orchid. These are beautiful. Absolutely love these. It's growing all right. I've been keeping it moist, not soggy ever. Whenever it gets on the dry side on the top, I give it some water, and it seems to be growing well with its little new growth at the base. My Gongora, or Gongoria orchid, is it? Which Gongora they call it. This one is looking nice. However, this is one that I got from Clouds. Are you in there? This one here, the new growth, the center seemed to have died out. But that's okay. This one's still looking splendid. It's downstairs. I think it gets about 80% humidity down there. With no help. It's just a concrete basement, so it really really holds on to the moisture. I've got a bunch of Cattleyas in here. This is an Oncidium that I bought that was it was on sale. I hate how they say Oncidium Orchid with no species name. It was on sale $11.99. I thought it was a really big price to pay, $11.99, because it wasn't in flower. I didn't know what the species was, but anyway, it's growing really, really well. I bought this actually because when I saw it, the little pseudobulbs were so little, and it had new growth. The new growth is doing quite well, much bigger than the other. So I wonder what species it is. Very excited to see what this one turns out to be next spring when it decides to flower. Here's the. Do you remember the clump of 3 Phalaenopsis, the mini phals that we planted? This is them. This has sent out a secondary flower spike. We got some buds that are going to be coming out on it, so that's exciting. There's all kinds of new growth in here. This is for sure a new leaf. This is a new leaf. And these 2 here are new leaves. So it's been growing really, really well. I've been keeping it watered, letting it dry out between waterings, because that's what phals seem to like. They never like to be constantly moist or the roots start to rot. What else do we have? This Fragrant Orchid that I've done several updates on. It's looking really, really nice. It's starting to put out its leaves rather than flowers at the moment, which I'm fine with. I've gotten, I don't know, how many months worth of flowers have I gotten from this? A lot. I think I bought this in December, and it flowered just until recently. So Needy, you have one that's similar to this one. I see that you probably have some more flower spikes coming on it. Mine doesn't look that way with further inspection. Oh well, the leaves are so glossy, they look so nice. I need to dust them. These ones are really dusty. What else is in here? These Paphiopedilums, my slipper orchids. This was the one that I rescued, that was sitting outside of the pot. The leaves never died back, so it did really, really well. And I've got this new growth here. That new growth looks really, really good. It's growing dreadfully slow, though. But I'm hopeful that in the spring it will still produce some bloom. If any of you are Paph experts, let me know. Do you think that this will still develop into a blooming sized plant by spring? Not quite sure. I got my other Paphs here as well. There's one, just the green variety. It's got a nice new growth here. It's growing really strong. This one I feel will produce flowers. The growth seems to be a lot stronger. And I have another Paph here somewhere. Oh, right here. This one has 2 new growths. This here was the main plant, right here. And there's the flower spike. Am I in frame? There's the old flower spike. And we've got 2 new growths. These new growths are doing wonderfully. These ones I have no doubt will flower next spring. Looking really good. Got my Zygopedilums. This is the Meltonia that I got on discount. Let's give a closer look here. It always stays wet, and it appears the new growth is coming out fairly okay, but this this spot here, a little bit of accordion leaves here. Well, this one's not so bad. I hope I don't get that to last. I hope that wow, can I talk? I hope that the leaves don't stay folded. I hope that they start growing normally like these ones, because that accordion stays with them until the leaf dies, and I don't want to look at that for a long period of time. I'll have to cut off this flower spike. This old flower spike here is dead. I will follow it back as far as I can go, and I'll just trim it off with some scissors. I think that's about it. Again, I've got some other interesting things. I've got a little Cymbidium, a baby Cymbidium orchid somewhere in here. I've got, I think it's an Epimedium orchid. This one here is a Cymbidium. It's doing well from clouds. I've got, looks like a new growth coming out here. I'm not sure whether it's new growth or whether it's a root. But either way, very excited to see new growth. Ooh, don't need a domino effect. These things are pretty, excuse me, pretty top heavy. I will go, like I said, and repot. This one is looking stunning. Look at the roots on there. Absolutely lovely. So, but anyway, this has been a little bit of an update on my orchids. Again, I went from about 7 to 24 in only a few months. I'm probably done with buying orchids. Well, okay, I say that. Probably not the case. If I can find a good deal, I'll definitely pick it up. But my orchid collection is growing, and like I've said to you before, I used to only grow Phalaenopsis, and I found that they got a little bit boring when that's all that I had, because they were only at, like, they would only produce leaves, and then, sure, you get a lovely show of flowers, and it's a long show of flowers. When they're not in flower, they're pretty boring. For me, anyway. I know that a lot of you out there love them, and I do too, but anyway, I get bored fast. So that's why I have all kinds of different types of orchids, so they're all at different phases of growth at any given time. So I get a little bit bored or lazy with one. Still water it always, but there's always something else that takes my attention. It gets me down into the grow space and make me water just to see what's happening. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining me, and like I said, there will be more updates on these orchids as time goes on. A little bit more personal with them. We'll probably do some repotting. Not quite sure. But if there's any orchid here that you see that you want me to talk about a little bit more, just let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to accommodate that. Anyway, happy growing, everyone.